Welcome to Massive Passive Cash Flow, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host. I'm so glad you're back on the show listening. We got a great guest today, Carly Worth, who is from Trumbull, Connecticut, but also is living in a beautiful Dallas, Texas area. And she and I are like, I don't know, we can't be brothers from other mothers, or we can be a brother. I'll be the brother from another mother, and you'd be the sister from another mister. How about that?
Okay, that works. We can do that.
And I very rarely meet somebody who's like you, Carly. So I'm so glad you're doing this. But first off, thank you for doing this and welcome aboard. I'm so glad you're doing this,
Yeah, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm glad our paths aligned and brought us onto this podcast.
You got it. Well, I know our paths crossed in the past, so just maybe the different time frame, but similar backgrounds. If you wouldn't mind sharing with people, I want to kind of position them so they understand what we're going to talk about next. So tell them about, how did you get to where you are now? What was that path? Was there an inflection point, like a pivotal moment where you just like how the aha, an introduction, maybe a friend or a relative that said, "Hey, Carly, you should try investing in real estate." So take it from there,
Yeah, so I got into the investing side. So I've been in real estate. I got my license December of 2020. So like 3.5 years I'm in. And last August, I bought my first investment property, which was a 36 unit, which was a very I wasn't too sure if I should go that big at first, but it all worked out. So yeah, it kind of just fell into my lap a little bit. Like I had always known the investment side for those 2.5 years, and I only ever worked with investors. I think I've had 2 mortgages my entire career. Never dealt with a mortgage. So my business partner came to me, or I should say the owner of the company that I'm now managing partner for came to me and asked if I wanted to partner up with him and create a debt fund. That was the initial strategy. And I was like, yeah, I'm always open to any type of business ideas. He's a great businessman, especially in real estate investing. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we sat down to have a meeting, and I was working on selling this 36 unit building. And I'm like, no one can get funding for it because it's like kind of a rural area, but it's amazing for military. Like it's right by the base. So I had always kind of loved this idea, but I was not going to do it on my own. So during that meeting, I kind of made it was intended to kind of be a joke. I was like, you want to buy a 36 unit in Oklahoma? And my business partner was like, tell me more. And I started kind of just rambling off the numbers, and he's like, can you get the property manager on the phone now? And I was like, yeah, like I'm super close with her. So I give her a call. He asked a couple more questions, and he's like, this is the best deal I think I've ever seen in my 12 years of real estate investing. He's like, we need to buy this. So the couple days later, we flew out to Oklahoma, looked at this building, went under contract, and the rest was history from there. And then, as you know, I'm sure once you buy one, it's addicting. Oh, yeah. I used to have a shopping addiction, and now I have buying real estate addiction. So
you graduated.
Yeah, exactly. I graduated, and now I don't love shopping as much anymore, but I think it's just because I just put all my money into real estate now. So that's the little story of how I got into it. And so since then, so it's been about 10 months. I have 46 or 47 doors, and developing a 96 unit as well.
Nice. So what's interesting is you went from shopping directly. Now you invest in real estate that gives you more wealth and income to do higher level shopping.
Exactly. Now I have shopping that's going to make me more money than my clothes ever would, or even my Louis bags. Like vintage Louis bags won't be able to compare to those. So yeah, it's a good transition.
Yeah. Okay. So now you mentioned you're a GM for now the company you're with. The purpose of the company is to invest in real estate. Am I on the right track?
Yeah. So we used to only buy and hold, but the numbers just aren't making sense anymore in the Connecticut market. So we do a lot of flips, shooting for 70 flips this year. So far we're on track to hit at least 50. So things are looking good, but yeah, so we're strictly an investment company. We have property management in-house, hard money lending in-house, and construction in-house, as well as the brokerage.
Okay. All right. So let's start to unpack this then. So you're primarily flipping or flipping single family homes, and is that the core model, flipping single family homes?
1 to 4. I mean, duplexes
Okay.
right now in Connecticut are flying off the shelves like crazy. So we
Okay.
try to get duplexes, but there's been more opportunity lately on the single family side, especially with either adding square footage or tear downs, whatever that may be. So we're seeing a little bit more opportunity on the single family side, but if we can get a good duplex or triplex, we will buy those all day long.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because when I was first starting out, I was acquiring a lot of multifamily, buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold. Whereas the market's different now in a lot of areas, like you said, that the cash flow for traditional rentals isn't there in some of the markets. There's other ways you can cash flow, and we get into that stuff, midterm rentals and short term and all that. But what I'm getting at is, I would only flip single family homes. In my mind, I'm thinking that's all you flip because that's all that's on television. Flipping houses and whatever. Well, one of my clients bought a 15-unit building, and I said this was a perfect, BRRRR property. Buy, remodel, rent, refinance. And sure enough, we bought it for he bought it for under 400. We sold it 2 years later for over 750. In the meantime, did a lot of remodeling, raised all the rents. And I thought to myself, this was a great model. We're technically flipping, but I keep saying while he owned it, he was cash flowing, covering his cost. You know what I'm saying? Versus a single family home where it's sitting empty. So, great, awesome
Yeah, what
model to
I'm
flip the
doing now.
multis.
Yeah, that's what
Awesome.
I'm doing on my 36 unit. It is a BRRRR property, but I'm going to hold it long term.
Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I tell you what, Carly, this was a lesson for everybody listening here. I never regretted buying a property. I mean, there were some properties that gave me some serious headaches. I'm just being frank about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bear gets you, and it happens maybe one out of every 20 homes or something. But every house ever sold, every property, I definitely regretted selling it years later because how much more the value keeps going up. Now, at the time, it made sense. It was a strategic move. I do use the money for something else. But in hindsight, you don't have to do that. Keep the property,
Hold it.
leverage it, refinance it. You don't have to do traditional funding. You do all kinds of creative purchasing techniques. You can use private money, and then private money is they looking for stuff like this. Let's talk about let's unpack this a little bit. What are the 4 or 5 key components to your model, like the teams you need, the people you need, the processes, things like that, the systems that make that machine go?
So, are you talking about like from the Connecticut business like that
Yeah.
one? specifically?
Well, like you've got the people, you got the construction people, you got the brokerage part, you've got the hard money part. So if we can break that down, let's talk about the money part first, because most people, Carly, I'm sure you've seen us. As soon as you get somebody interested in something, the first thing they want to go over is like, let's talk about the money, which I do too. It makes sense. So let's talk about the money. How do you get it? Can people listening right now, can they participate in some of your projects? And also, can you even lend to other people who maybe they're just starting out and they need someone like you to help fund them? I mean, does it cover both bases there, or so maybe you unravel that a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So, I do personally raise private capital for all 3 of my businesses.
Hmm.
Like the short-term loans, I need those coming
Hmm.
in every day. I've been blessed at this point to have, people reaching out to me and have connections. So I have not run into a capital shortage yet, but I would gladly take in much more before I even need it. So on that front, yeah, so I raise short term. Most of the time it's short term. I haven't really gotten into the syndication side yet, just because it's legally just a lot more to unpack and it needs to be much more structured.
Hmm.
I do have one small partner on one thing, that's the development. We brought in a small partner, and then so aside from like raising the private capital, I also will lend my funds out on a lot of our projects. just for the
Mhm.
return. So all three companies, we offer a 6% minimum. So because we do the
Okay.
burr model, or we either burr out of it and hold it, or we just flip it, they're typically 3 or 4 month turnarounds. So
Mhm.
we offer that 6% minimum, which, if you just keep turning over your money, that's 18 to 24% a month, which you're not
Exactly.
getting anywhere, especially in the stock market right now. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of like our strategy, which is very enticing to a lot of people because most of the time it's just 1% monthly. But we
Yeah.
do offer that 6 month minimum to kind of entice people and it just sweeten the deal a little bit for them.
Yeah. And it's secured by the property, I'm guessing, right? There's just like a typical note and mortgage or um that type of, okay.
So
Yeah.
on the bigger flipping stuff, so we have a hard money lending company in-house. So we have
Mhm.
really great leverage from there. So typically we will secure first position with that. And then we raise kind of like, I guess you could say, a bridge for the second position. Um, and that you will get a personal or a company guarantee and recorded as second position. And then in the holding company, if we're buying something smaller, where we're not like taking in $750,000 plus, we will offer a first position
Okay.
note on those as well as a company guarantee. So it's either first or second position depending on the opportunity. But we do have both options.
Gotcha. Okay. So for anybody who's listening to the podcast and wants to participate passively, somebody who owns their own business, they're extremely busy, they like real estate, they just don't have the time to get involved at the level you and I do. They would rather provide the funding. They
Yep.
just they reach out to you and then you go through a little bit of a vetting process and okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
you can just reach out to me and I'll see kind of like what we have in the pipeline, depending on how much you're wanting to invest. Um, we also take in like a line of credit as well, which sometimes is easier for people who are super busy and just need to like deploy capital. That way it's not like a deal by deal basis. It's kind of just like, hey, I'll give you a line of credit for $1 million, whatever you use, type of thing. So I will take those in as well. Sometimes I partner up with people to help raise for syndication deals,
Mhm.
on the LP side, but I generally, probably by the end of the year, we will have a syndication because we are going after larger deals.
Yeah.
But the leverage I have for that is, I could do a $10 million project and only need to raise 1.5 million, with my
Yeah.
connection on the line of credit that I have for it's 15% down, you get the line of credit to a private
Right.
investor. So that's kind of, that's the next step I want to go before I get into like a really big syndication model.
Yeah. Yes, the way you're doing it right now is definitely much easier. I mean, it's private, and as long as you don't cross the line and promote something publicly, you're okay. That's really the key thing, and you're dealing with people, who and they'll introduce people that they know.
Exactly.
That's how most people get. Yeah, it's a great model, and I mean, yeah, keep doing that because it's obviously working. I mean, even if you did only quote unquote only 50 flips a year, I mean, that's spectacular.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's
lend
that's pretty
a lot
awesome.
on ours because I'm like, I don't want this money just sitting in my bank account doing nothing. Like, let me go put it over here and make, 6% in 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Um, and the worst thing you can do is have money sitting in the bank. But there are some opportunities for people who, are business owners that need some sort of like a tax deduction. We could figure out something like that. If they're bringing a lot of capital to the table, we could maybe just like JV partnership with them instead of making a syndication, just have it be them and our LLC, where they can have equity in the deal to be able to use that as tax benefits as well, as far as
Yeah.
like the depreciation goes.
Okay. Now, as far as sourcing the property, I'm gathering you do a lot of off-market deals, and we've used MLSs and the listing services, LoopNet, CoStar, Craigslist. We actually use everything on our team.
Same.
But our favorite technique is just doing the research, gathering the data from the county records, people data, property data, vetting it. So we only reach out to the absolute most likely candidates looking to, most likely interested in selling that is. And then we have certain techniques to reach out to them. Is that something you could use more of? I mean, if like we have agents listen to this, just like we have dentists and pilots and teachers, a lot of agents listen to this podcast. And I'm sure if they knew people like you and I were out there, we might be able to get their attention too. And we might have to show them what to do. But, let's face it, you and I can't be everywhere. I mean, and it feels like it sometimes, doesn't it feel like we're like,
Oh my
holy cow, I
God.
gotta squeeze more. Yeah.
People are like, how? I don't know how you keep your head straight. Like you do everything. And I'm like, I don't know either, but like somehow I survive. So yeah, if you have
Yeah.
off-market deals, please bring them to me. I will love you forever. Give me all of the deals.
Gotcha.
We are flipping nationwide. So anything, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Carolinas, Alabama, Arkansas, those are kind of our main markets where we'd want to flip residential.
Okay.
Typically, I don't really want to be in like a big FHA or Section 8 market. I want to, have a
Yep.
little bit safer of an investment being out of state where I don't really know the area super well. But we are flipping nationwide from 1 to 4 units. And buying holds. Any red state apartment buildings, whatever, send them my way if
Yeah.
it's a value add. But I only will do value add that I can burn cash out of. So I want to be able to cash out, refi, pull my capital back out, and repeat, which usually, needs, some people consider, I guess it is a value add with like raising the rents like $50 a unit, but that's not going to allow me to take all my money back out. So I'm looking for like bigger value add with construction and rehab.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If you can change, the key is for all the agents listening right now is this is a big tip for you. Once you learn how to identify properties and owners, the right properties and right owners, and you know how to analyze properties, and we teach all that on our team. We teach all that. The key is understanding the what we call the exchange of value. So one of the things that means is if you can change the level that property exists at, say it's a B minus property, and you can turn it into a B plus, or Carly and her team can turn it into a B plus property. So now maybe they're raising the rent by 20%, and I've actually had properties I raised my rent a full 50%, and people still stayed because I knew they were still getting a good deal. They were just getting a much better property.
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong. People will always pay for good properties. I mean, have you found that too? People will pay for good properties,
Yeah. So the 36 unit, which I call that my baby. So when I bought that, there were a few people living there. But it was it was distressed. People wasn't taken care of from the previous seller. He was from California, like never even saw the property, whatever. We had to get unblacklisted from the military base. It was a big thing, but, there's some people that are like paying like $300 a month. And so those people are either going to go up to market or they're going to get out, and I'm going to rehab it, turn it over, and put someone that's going to pay market rent in there anyway. Which is probably in that area, 2-bedroom, probably like 1,100, and they're paying like $350.
Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world. Every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live, be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to realestatewithgarywilson.com, click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Yeah, that's a big spread. That's a big value add,
Yeah. So I'm like, you gotta go. You gotta pay more or you gotta get out.
Yeah. What's interesting is we was a big jump for me. I did it was a 90 unit building, and I bought it with a partner of mine, the best partner I ever had. And we raised our rents probably 50% while we owned it for 8 years. We thought it was going to be like a 3 year project, but man, we got in there, it was like, holy cow. We did parking lots, roofs, all the boiler systems. I mean, we poured all the old carpet. There was a beautiful parquet flooring in there. That was big win number one. We're like, geez, we
That
just
is
went
a
up
win.
one market level. Yeah, just by opening up the parquet flooring. And
That's
then
amazing.
yeah, we got really lucky. Beautiful. It was 2 acres, so we had lots of land. So we made it so that people could come in and use the land and have picnics and kids could play and stuff. That was another big thing we did. It was very inexpensive, brought a lot of value. And the all the garages underneath were just dilapidated old doors, dusty cobwebs, oil stains. Cleaned all that mess up and rented those out separately from the leases on the apartments. And that
Yeah.
was a big, big win. You'd be people who are collect cars, they will pay anything to have a secure, clean, good site to clean the store their 1969 Camaro. And we learned that lesson. The rent went up on that one too. All
Oh
those,
yeah. I mean, we
So
did something very similar. We gated the entire apartment complex so that you have a code now to get into the area. Because it is over by
nice.
a military base. So a lot of, the military gets sent out and their families are still there. So they want their wife and kids to be safe and
Right.
in a gated community. So we're actually the only gated apartment complex in Lawton, which is a huge value.
Yes.
I think that probably upped our rents like 150 to 200 per unit a month by putting that
Yep.
gate in.
Wow. Hey, now let's I want to talk about another subject too that for me was a struggle at first, Carly. It was finding the crews, the remodeling crews, the construction crews. They could do a good job, do it on time, on budget. I mean, what have you any tips or tricks we can share with some of our investors listening now? Because that's the second biggest thing I get from people is the first is the money, second is who's going to do all this work, man? You know, so what's your secret sauce there, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, you know?
This is going to sound so funny. And this is my business partner saying this, not even me. And he's a guy. He's like,
Yeah.
women. Women are so much more detail oriented. They are generally more on track, on budget. So our GC in Connecticut is a female, and our
Oh,
GC in Lawton is a female, and my GC in Mississippi is a female.
yeah.
When the Connecticut company had worked with men in the past, it's not that they're just not as detail oriented. So I
Right.
personally on my holdings have not dealt with men. I mean, I guess one of my
Yeah.
GCs in Mississippi is a man, but like he is a bigger company, so he's more organized in general. But in those smaller markets, it's tough because it's very different. Like in Oklahoma or Mississippi, they work very differently than the East Coast from what we're used to. So when they're individual,
Mhm.
it's definitely a different ball game versus working with like a larger company who has more people to allocate time and expertise in
Mhm.
certain areas. But on a serious note,
Mhm.
um, I think getting to know them on a personal level and having some sort of rapport. I'm a big advocate of relationships.
Yeah.
If you have a friendship with those people and they like you and they trust you, like they will go above and beyond. Like my PM and broker
Yeah.
in Oklahoma, like
Mhm.
she cares about me and our like in us so much that she will go above and beyond to
Yeah.
get things. Like she's like, I'll talk, like we had to bring in another GC for another project because our current GC, we had her too busy. And she's like,
Mm.
I promise, like I'll get him to hit these numbers. And I tell him it's not a negotiable and there's more deals where that came from. And if you don't do it now, I'll find someone else who will. So I think
Yeah.
it's a big relationship. It's a big relationship game, especially in the property management
Yeah.
world. Like your asset is only as good as your property manager is. And if you don't have a good property
Oh, yeah.
manager, like you're better off just not even buying it.
Yeah. It's so funny is we were so much like my property manager was female and she wasn't even 5 foot tall. And she had these
Yeah,
big
mine
eyes and
too.
big,
She's like five
yeah,
two.
yeah. I mean, but she knows her stuff, man. I mean, here's the
Yep.
thing. When I'm dealing with her, and also she, by the way, she directed the construction crews. It was funny. Some of them, they couldn't deal with it. The men, they're like men in the 50s, and they just couldn't handle it.
Yep.
But the thing is, I like dealing with the women better because they were more conscientious. I felt like, I'm not saying the men were dishonest and all that kind of stuff, and maybe some of
No.
them were, but they would break a promise or not call you and to say we got it. They would do this stuff. But the women, they always told me, "Hey, Garrett, we know what we ran into a problem. It's going to be another week ahead of
Yep.
time, not surprising with this stuff, you know."
Yep.
And they knew, and she would put her hands on her hips, and because when these guys would call her out and stuff, like electrical, plumbing, whatever, she put her hands on her hips and cock her and look at them and say, and did start rattling off what she wanted to do. And they were like, "Holy crap!" She knew what she was talking about, and
Yep.
they knew if they made her happy, I would be happy, and they would get paid. That's what we did some other neat things. I never paid them on Fridays. I only paid them on Mondays because I knew if I paid them on Monday morning, they would show up, you know. But if you paid them on a Friday, that money's gone by the time Monday morning comes around. In a lot of cases, they drink it, whatever. But the women also didn't have problems. The men it was always the same thing. My truck needs to get repaired. My 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 wife left me. My dog died. I mean, all this same crap over and over again. And with women, it was like I didn't have any of that stuff.
Very different.
Didn't have any other problems.
Very different.
Yeah.
I do think there's something to be said about a powerful female in the investment side of real estate.
Yeah.
Definitely takes a certain personality. You got to be able to put people in their places and stand your ground. But if they are that, like it's
Yeah.
it's unbeatable. Like no one can touch them.
And in terms of business operations, you want things to be predictable, reliable. You need to be able to make plans and measure and track. And I was able to do that a lot more effectively. And she became one of my main partners over the years, actually. So now, so that, by the way, I appreciate the big tip of bringing that up about working with women. I mean,
Yeah.
people have never heard that before in a lot of cases. So let's talk about, we've talked about flipping, and I understand within the context of our conversation, you do keep some, you have some you keep long term. Is that when we talked about your model earlier? So there's four parts. Is that the flipping, the hard money, construction? So tell me, what else have we not covered? That's a pillar for your business model.
So that's just Connecticut specific. So I'm
Okay.
the managing partner for the brokerage in Connecticut. So I do all of our companies buying and selling. I will help raise the private capital. I manage about 20 agents. And then outside of those agents, I also take on coaching clients. So agents that are interested in the investment space. So I work with them one-on-one to help them either personally or professionally in the investment space.
Mhm.
So that's like the Connecticut business. And then the middle business is the three owners of the Connecticut business plus myself. We are flipping out of state 1 to 4 units, but we use most of, our resources, like we use our hard money lending still from the other company. And then my holding company is just with one business partner. And then I raise the capital over there, bring the deals. And that's
Okay.
a lot of like the Burr strategy. Those are all holds and developments on that
Okay.
side.
Okay. Right. This. I mean, I love what you're doing, and you guys. I mean, you said you started in 2020. You got into business. I mean, what you're doing in 4 years. It's just my opinion. I think it's phenomenal. Especially when you consider the marketplace. We've gone through so much change since 2020. Look at the rapid increase in prices across the country. Look at the increases in interest rates on conventional financing. And here you solve the problem of financing. You do it privately, which is great. And I do both. I mean, sometimes, hey, if I can get a 3% loan, I'm going to do it. Heck yeah. But that's for long term. Like I can get a Fannie Mae or sorry, a Freddie Mac loan for 40 years. I mean, anybody can. So if I can do that, you're darn right I'm going to do it. But at acquisition time, you need that short money, you need the quick money. So if you can do 6 months, and you get so somebody can get an investor, the source of the money can get 6% in 6 months or less. Is that correct? I mean, tell me.
Yeah. So even if we did the project in
Mhm.
a 1 month period, they would get 6%.
Nice. Gotcha.
So,
Right.
I mean, some things we can do in 2 months. I
Yeah.
went one of our deals, and then I would say within less than a month, we went on market, we went under contract. So like, I think for me, it's probably around a 2.5 month hold,
Yeah.
6%.
We know what's interesting. Check this out. I just did it in my head, so I'm not, people don't quote me on this, but I'm willing to bet you if you did a compounding calculator and you did 6% per month, I'm not saying this is going to happen. If you did 6% per month, linearly, that's 72% for the year. But if you compound it, you take your 100,000, you 106,000 in February, lend it out in March, it's 112. It's not 112 because it's compounding. I'm willing to bet you'd get close to 100% doubling your money by the end of the year if you could had the short to 1 month turnaround, 6%. I mean, and it's secured by brick and mortar and land. This isn't a fictitious,
Yeah,
cryptocurrency. I'm not knocking
tangible.
cryptocurrency. Yeah, you can feel it and touch it and see it. And remember, real estate never goes to zero. Never. Even if the house blew away in a tornado, you still got the land and you got an insurance policy. You know,
Yep.
you can't do that in other markets, guys. I'm not knocking stocks. I'm not knocking crypto. I'm in those things too. But real estate is like, that's the foundation, guys. That's the foundation upon which you launch other business ventures. Here, Carly, we're going to run short on time. I knew this was going to happen. I probably should have you back. But tell us, what's the future for you and your company and your personal vision? Share also, please share, how can we get a hold of you? Website, email, anything we can use to get a hold of you,
Yeah. Despite like hundreds of people interacting with me in a week, I'm still very good about getting back to people within the same day, which I pride
Cool.
myself on. Also for all the agents listening, that is so important to get your offers accepted. Like, call the listing agent. Don't just send the offer without saying anything. I call out, sometimes I'll put 20 offers out a day, and I will call every single agent and introduce myself. And most of the time, that's what helps me get the property. So make sure you're doing that. So you can reach out to me via email. It's RE, like real estate with Carly @gmail.com. My Instagram business handle is RE with Carly, as well as my Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't have Twitter. I think that's all the platforms. And
Okay.
yeah, like whether you need coaching, whether you have funds that you want to invest, short-term, long-term, equity partner, we can find something to put you in. If I don't currently have a project going on, I can help with, I have a lot of friends that run syndication, so they usually ask me to help raise private capital for them, but I'm just too busy, as you've probably heard. But yeah, so I guess for myself, my goal, is to have at least 250 doors by the end of the year. So with my development, I need about 100 more this year, which should be attainable. I'm looking at a 68 unit right now. So that should be attainable. Raising more private capital, getting some good flips nationwide. The agent work is great. It's my bread and butter. I enjoy it, but long term, I'm going to have to shift my focus to the long-term investment strategy, so that I can work smarter and not harder and retire by 35, because that's my game plan. So I have 5.5 years to go so I can retire. Which obviously retirement comes from investing and owning real estate and cash flow. So I would say that's pretty much my goal for the upcoming years right now. That's where my focus is. And just take it day by day and get a deal accepted, hopefully every day.
Yeah. Well, I love the vision, and I'm going to share this with everybody. When I was 23, I bought my first property, literally the month after I graduated college, with my college freshman year roommate named Socrates. We remained best friends, and his dad was a big investor. He was a Greek immigrant, obviously, and he helped us get the first property in Virginia Beach, and it was a creative purchasing deal. But I remember at the closing table, him pounding his chest, saying, "If you boys do what I tell you to do, you won't have to work for anybody else when you're 35 years old." Well, we didn't listen. We bought a boat, then we had to buy something to tow the boat. Then I got married, then he got married, and next thing you know, it's, we're 35. So I was 35. I'm thinking, man, I wish I'd listened to him because I hated the corporate world. I wasn't born to be sitting behind a desk in a cube in a corporate world.
Nope.
Yeah, no
I
way,
was not
Jose.
born to be told what to do. That's my problem.
Yeah, that's it. Rebel with a cause, man. You know. So I did start aggressively when I was 35, and I did retire when I was 40. And I'll never forget the day I left, man. I was just so excited. I couldn't believe it. It was August 13th, 2003. We had a massive layout the prior December at Christmas, the Christmas week. And I had to be one of the people giving the notice to people. And I told my boss the next day, I said, look, I just want to tell you, I'm going to be leaving here. I don't know when, but I've got a bunch of rentals and, I'm just don't have to work here anymore. So I left that August and I was at a street corner, Carly, with a dolly with my personal boxes of my belongings, get ready to cross the street. And it was August and I was hot. So my tie was undone. My jacket was off. And these guys were at the street corner and said, oh, man, we're so sorry. We've been seeing us all over the place. Is there anything we can do to help you? Can we help you carry stuff? I said, what are you talking about? And they said, you got caught up in a layoff. I said, no, I just retired, man. Yeah, and I was like, across the street. I was like, oh, it was just the most amazing feeling. So everybody listening,
I can
I
only
just
imagine.
want you to know that, Carla and I didn't get where we are by ourselves. We most likely had help. I mean, I know I definitely had help myself. Do not be afraid to ask. When we put these podcasts out, it's to serve you, give you information, give you content, give you contacts. The only way you're going to get help is to reach out and ask for it. And if you don't, you're probably going to wake up tomorrow exactly the same position you woke up in today. Why not wake up in a position that Carly's in? She's not even 30, guys. She's not even 30, and she's talking about retiring and having 250 units by the end. I'm sorry, yeah, by the end of the year. You can do the same thing. None of us are born with this knowledge and this skill. I will tell you one thing Carly has is she has ambition, she's got drive, she's got vision, right? She knows what she wants. You can do that too. Do not let the world beat you down. You are bigger than every circumstance in your life, and you can do the same thing we've done. If you knew my background, it would even be more compelling what I'm telling you right now. If you
Yeah,
read
mine
one of
too.
my books, yeah,
100%. Yeah. If you knew my
yeah,
whole story. And if you're the
sure,
smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Go to another
yes.
room.
Go to a bigger pond. Amen. I did that a few years ago. I went from a little pond, I was a big fish in a little pond, jumped into a much, much bigger ocean, and I'm still benefiting from that. The people up above me, I mean, the support is phenomenal. So, but in any case, I want to go to this again. So, RE with Carly.com, sorry, at gmail.com. And by the way, Carly, my my consumer focused website is Real Estate with Gary Wilson. So how about that for
You
being? I
are
tell
the
you,
same
we're
person.
we are, man. We're related.
I love
And
it.
that's you're probably smarter than me. So, um, but in any case, the handles guys are ampersand RE with Carly. That's the handle, right? Or sorry, you said hashtag, but I wrote the ampersand symbol. It's
No,
the
no, it's an at
uh,
sign. Yeah. At
it's the
art.
at sign. Yeah. So at RE with Carly. Check her out, guys. I know I'm going to be looking in front of this, and Carly, consider this an official invite to teach Monday Night Live. I'll follow up with that separately, but
Yay, I'm so
um,
excited.
yeah, you'll have people from all over the country and really Canada and other places, and it's really awesome because there you get to interact with people. So everybody listening, man, you should come on Monday Night Live, guys. It's every Monday at 7 Eastern. You don't doesn't cost anything. Meet people like Carly, learn, ask questions directly. I mean, come on. And you can just go to the website, go to globalinvestoragent.com. You can register for class here. I think you can register for class also at realestatewithgarywilson.com. But if you're in doubt, just go to the website, just leave a message and we'll get you signed up for class. So Carly, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, man. This has been an awesome blessing for us. Yeah.
Very excited to be
And thank
here.
awesome. And then for all the listeners, thank you too. And God bless all of you, you and your families. And we will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.